everybody. This is Shell Point Today for Thursday, September 7th. We're filming the program right now about 4:30 in the afternoon, and today's show is going to run for the rest of today, which is Thursday, through tomorrow morning, Friday morning, and then we'll be updating the program again tomorrow with some more information to help keep you current on Hurricane Irma. I have a guest in the audience. Not you're in the audience, but you're actually here on the show with me today. You know what? We're just doing these things almost live.
That's right.
So Diane Morton is with me, and she's in charge of transportation here at Shell Point. And so she's going to be sharing some information with us in a few minutes that I think you're going to find very helpful for our plans tomorrow on Friday. But right now, I just want to give you a quick update. I've mentioned to you that Shell Point has a meteorologist who is a consultant to our organization, and he actually follows the storm and the path of the storm. And not only is he reporting it, looking at all of the ramifications of the entire state, but he also gives us information specific to our location here at Shell Point. And that's very important because we need to know how will we be impacted, whether the storm goes through Miami, whether it heads up the East Coast, or should it make a turn and come more toward the west. Right now, the information that he gives us has not changed since earlier today. So here as of Thursday, and I keep repeating today's date and the name of the day because one of the residents told me, don't say today and tomorrow, she said. She said, you need to say what day you're talking about. So today, which is Thursday, basically he said that the report hasn't changed that much in the last few hours, that basically they still think that it will track easterly, but until it makes that move north, they can't predict that 100%. So for right now, we're on that watching and waiting kind of situation. Which leads us to our top story, and that is, as you know, we've been in phase one of the hurricane plan here at Shell Point. And phase one is really when they prepare the garage. You guys have been putting the garage together. The employees have not been parking in it as of Wednesday. And so there's been a lot of activity over there, bringing in the water, bringing in the food, setting up, getting the generator turned on, taking all the bags off the fans. They had all the fans going when I went over there earlier. So there was a lot of wind, which felt great, by the way. So all of that's been happening as part of phase one. But now we've decided that since they haven't been able to make a specific call about the hurricane and which direction it might go, and even though it looks like it's going to go to the east, thank goodness, we want to go ahead and go into phase two of our 6-phase hurricane plan. And phase two means that we continue to set up the shelter. But the next step in setting up the shelter is to actually pick up the chairs and the hurricane kits for all of the independent living residents only, and transporting those on over to the shelter so that those can be set up in place. And the reason that we're doing this so early is that let's just say that there was going to be an evacuation over the weekend, for instance. If we were to do an evacuation, we wouldn't want to have to do the chairs and the kits and the people and the pets all at once. That could be a little chaotic, don't you think?
Yeah.
So we want to go ahead and take the kits and the chairs for the independent residents and move those on over to the shelter. So Diane, tell me, today is Thursday. We're going into Thursday evening. So what's going to happen tomorrow and Friday?
Okay, so tomorrow, while we have staff still here at Shell Point, we're going to pick up the hurricane kits and chairs on Friday, September the 8th. We're going to start picking up at multiple neighborhoods at various times, which we posted on Shell Point TV as well as on the website. We will take all the independent living kits and put them in the hurricane shelter. We will group everybody by their court. So we will put the estuary folks together, the Eagles Preserve residents, the Woodlands, and the islands. So neighbors can help neighbors. So tonight would be a good idea. If you know of somebody who's struggling and might need a little assistance, just check on your neighbors that need that special care. If there's a situation where there might be a problem with having the hurricane kit or obtaining it, please call 2190 for those special cases only. Again, so the kits are going to get started picking up tomorrow at the island at 8 o'clock, at the estuary at 8 o'clock, Eagles Preserve 8 o'clock, and we will take the kits and the chairs to the shelter, and then at noon we're going to start the Woodlands. 2 p.m. we're going to start at Palm Acres. Palm Acres we're going to pick up at everybody's driveway. Again, Palm Acres, since they don't have one central building, we're going to go house to house for the Palm Acres residents. But for example, since the estuary has the cove, it makes sense that they take their kits to the cove and we make one stop there in order to save time. The size of the kit, if you've traveled on an airplane and have done carry-on luggage, that's the suggested size. Please do not pack anything too heavy. Please do not put a bottle of water in your kit. Water will be provided at the shelter. The other thing that's very important is medication. If you are on prescribed medication, keep your medication with you
At home.
At home, and bring it with you on your person if we go to the hurricane shelter evacuation.
Which right now, there is no call for an evacuation.
Correct.
In fact, we really don't think there will be an evacuation because we really don't think that the hurricane is going to come to this side of the state. And that's not us. That's what the experts are saying. What we are doing is just setting up the shelter. So please don't tell your family and friends that we are staging an evacuation. We are not doing that right now, which is why it's so important that you only put the things in your hurricane kit that should be in there, because these kits are going to be taken over to the hurricane shelter. They're going to be set up in your individual courts, and then they're going to be left there for the entire weekend. So you will not see your kit again until probably Monday or Tuesday. So in other words, if we don't have an evacuation, which we're not planning on having, that means your kit is going to be in the shelter. So do not put cash in your hurricane kit. Do not put jewelry. Do not put valuables. Do not put your passport, your driver's license. Do not put those things in your kit. Do not put your prescriptions. Keep all of those things at home with you, because it's very unlikely that we will be evacuating. And number two, if we did do an evacuation, you would bring those items, not the cash and the valuables, but you would bring the items like your medication with you if we did an evacuation, which, remember, we're not doing right now. So don't tell anybody that we are. Diane, let's talk a little bit about what goes into the kit. Let me just remind everyone that the 2017 Hurricane Planning Guide has a list of the items that go in your kit, but we are going to talk about a couple of specifics that it mentions that I think that there's a few changes that we should make. So if you have this guide, it's something that you can refer to. If you threw yours away or maybe you've misplaced it, you can download a copy of this off of shellpoint.net, our resident website. It is on there. You can even just view it online. You don't even have to download it. So let me just go ahead and review with Diane here a few of the items that are in the kit suggested list, and we'll talk it through. So one of the things that it suggests is obviously everything you send over needs to be labeled, your chair and your suitcase. All right, and Diane just talked about the size of your suitcase. Remember that her team is going to have to move more than 1,000 pieces of luggage tomorrow. Please do not bring the giant Samsonite and it's got your entire encyclopedia collection in it, okay? The bag should be very small, and it should contain just the items that are suggested, or the things that you really think you're going to need. So some of the things that were mentioned in this bag, you could put a few small snacks in there. Obviously food is going to be provided in the shelter, but it doesn't hurt to have a couple of bags of snacks. Please don't pack something, though, like chocolate that will melt when it's sitting in the parking garage for 3 or 4 days. We're talking about maybe a small box of raisins or some crackers, or if you have a sweet tooth, put some cookies in there, but nothing that will melt because they will be warm sitting in the garage. You could put a small thing of bug spray. I don't know that that's quite necessary in the parking garage, but I think the idea is that before or after you might want some. Earplugs is a great suggestion. If you don't want to listen to 1,000 of your closest friends and neighbors visiting all night long, you might want a set of earplugs. That's a good idea. Now here, entertainment materials. Why do you think that that's important?
Well, I think it's important because we could be in the shelter 24, 48 hours, and it's just important so you have some comfort items, that quiet time that you can read a book or just visit with somebody, read to a
Crossword
neighbor.
puzzles.
Crossword puzzles. Read to somebody who might be anxious.
Yeah, so there are several things that you can get, like even the Sudoku books, you know, the little puzzle books, those are great. If you do bring some reading material, you know, bring one book that, you know, will get you through the next day or so. Don't bring 3 or 4 because you won't have that much time to read them, and it's just makes your bag quite heavy. So some entertainment materials I think are good. A small pillow doesn't hurt. A flashlight. Remember that pillow, though, needs to fit in the bag.
Yes.
We can't have 1,000 loose pillows flying around. That would not be good. A small flashlight is good, with batteries, of course. Now, on this form, it actually listed mobile phone plus charging battery. Do not put your mobile phone in the kit that you're sending to the shelter. Keep your mobile phone at home, and if you do have to have an evacuation later, just bring it with you then, okay? So do not put your mobile devices of any kind, not your iPad, your tablet, not your laptop, not your chargers, not your mobile phone. Do not put those in your kit, because we're going to be picking up tomorrow. And remember, when there's a big team of people and a big truck and they're picking up the chairs and they're picking up the kits and they're putting them in, they're all going to be piled on top of each other. So that's why you don't want breakables, and you don't want things that are valuable
Exactly.
and that could get lost, that sort of thing. A change of clothes. Now that's very important. Remember last time when we had Hurricane Charlie, it was actually raining when we evacuated, and many of us got wet. So it was nice to have a dry t-shirt to put on when you got inside. So a change of clothes, something lightweight and comfortable, put that, roll it up and put that in your bag. Now, it lists a full 1-liter water bottle on this list to put in your kit. Don't put that in your kit tomorrow, all right? If we evacuate, there will be water in the shelter. And when we evacuate, if we were going to evacuate, we would suggest you bring the water with you then. If you'd like a bottle of water, some small bottle of water that you want to bring with you when you come to the shelter during an evacuation, that's fine. But don't put a bottle of water in your kit, and then let's say your kit gets tossed in with 8 or 9 other kits, and your bottle of water, the cap pops off, and then all your things inside your kit are wet. So it's not a good idea.
Yeah.
So we don't recommend the bottle of water inside the kit. All right, what about 3-day supply of dietary needs? Now, they're going to have food in the shelter.
Right.
Plenty
And
of food.
What I understand, you want to avoid eating tuna fish, peanut butter and jelly, and chicken, because that's what the menu is for eating in the shelter.
Actually, that's good for me because I love tuna fish, and I could live on peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. I kind of grew up on those. So what we're talking about here is some folks may be gluten intolerant,
Right.
or they may be vegan, or they may have some special dietary need that goes beyond normal diet.
Right.
And so what we're suggesting is if you fall into that category, please do pack a 3-day supply of some food items that you will be able to enjoy and digest and be comfortable. So that's something very special for those people who it might apply to. Hand towel and washcloth, and also disposable toothbrush and tooth wipes, things like that. Talk about these items here, Diane, and tell us why we might need those.
Well, the hand wipes, as we know, there'll be a lot of people in there, and just to make you feel fresher, there is no air conditioning. This is probably going to be 90 degrees.
Little warm.
We have oscillating fans running right now, but it will be very warm. And I think just wet wipes will freshen you up, wiping your face if we're sleeping overnight. Toothpaste, tooth wipes, same thing. It just makes you feel fresh in the morning.
And maybe a small hand sanitizer.
Hand sanitizer.
Not a bad
would be
idea.
Very good idea.
Yeah. Now, a little one. You don't need the big
We don't
economy
need
size
the
from
sa-
Costco.
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly.
All right, leave that one at home. Now, I will tell you, in Hurricane Charlie, when we were in the shelter, it was warm that day. But when we actually went into the shelter, because of the storm coming through, it's like any time when it gets dark outside and it rains, the temperature did go down. So I don't want to say it was quite comfortable, but it actually wasn't bad.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad. Surprisingly, not bad. So those are some of the things that you're going to want to put in the kit. And remember that it's the kit, your little suitcase or your little tote bag. And by the way, this is not an open sack.
Right.
This is not a Publix bag that you've tied the handles together. This is not your beach bag that's open at the top. This is going to be handled numerous times by numerous people, and we don't want all your stuff flying out willy-nilly.
Right.
So make sure that it's in a closed container, okay? I mean, goodness, we'd take a small box packed and wrapped with packing tape if you don't have a suitcase. But,
Right.
Let's be practical, okay? And then obviously labeling.
Labeling is very, very important. We want your chair labeled. We want your kit labeled. That way, when we are picking up the kits, we can keep them together as much as possible. After the hurricane, we have to get the kits back to your person. So we need to make sure that we know, the labels, that we get the right people.
It definitely helps. It definitely helps. And also one of the things is we go ahead and set the chairs up in the shelter, and we like to sit the kit right on top of the chair. So if you had an evacuation and you came to the shelter, the chair and the kit would already be together. They wouldn't be in two messy piles where you have to go rooting through and finding it.
Right.
So please label both your kit and your chair. It can be masking tape. You can put a luggage tag on there. Anything that's secure and will not fall off. We have seen people use the little address labels. Not the best, but as long as it appears to stick perfectly, or you put packing tape over it, but a nice big label is really helpful. Just make sure that it can't fall off, okay? All right, Diane, is there anything else you want to share about tomorrow's pickup?
No, I just want to stress that we're doing it Friday, September the 8th. We're going to start first thing in the morning with the various neighborhoods, and we will continue running through the night till we get it completely set up. So your cooperation is very much appreciated, and again, we'll be picking up over 1,000 kits. So weight is, would be very much appreciated, and ergonomically, we just need to save our bodies and just make sure we're being safe.
Absolutely. And one more thing we want to remind you, this is independent living only. This does not include assisted living. This does not include skilled nursing. We are only talking about our independent courts at this time, all right? So everybody remember that. Diane, thanks for joining us today. We appreciate all the information. As I said before, today is Thursday, and we're talking about something that's going to happen tomorrow, Friday, at 8 o'clock in the morning. So everybody go get prepared, get those kits and chairs ready, and if you have any questions, the first person you should talk to is your court rep. They just came out of a meeting earlier this afternoon, and they have lots of information about this and could possibly answer most of your questions. So thanks again, Diane. We sure appreciate you being here.
Thanks a lot, Lynn.
Absolutely. Well, it was great to have Diane Morton here to be able to explain to you how we're going to be moving the kits and the chairs over to the hurricane shelter. That'll be Friday morning, which is tomorrow, but I know this is going to be running all night, and so you may be seeing this in the morning on Friday. So Friday morning at 8 a.m., they're going to start picking up the hurricane kits and the chairs, and that's for independent living only. So please prepare for that. There's a little bit more news I want to share, though, just to reiterate a few things. I know for the last 2 days I've been saying, please come to the quarterly meeting that's going to be on Friday afternoon. Well, they've decided to cancel the quarterly meeting. So now I'm going to say, please don't come to the quarterly meeting. It's going to be postponed, and they'll reschedule it possibly next Friday, but they'll let us know sometime next week after we get past the hurricane warning and all these other things that are going on with the weather. So no quarterly meeting Friday afternoon, all right? Be sure and make a note and tell everybody that you talk to that there is not going to be a quarterly meeting. Also, I just wanted to remind you that if you're looking for information, I know we'll have this program running, and it runs overnight from Thursday night to Friday morning, and we'll be updating it sometime tomorrow morning, Friday morning. But in the meantime, you may want additional information. A couple of places that you can go to are shellpoint.net, our resident website, and there's a place that you can click on that get all of the hurricane information and updates, so please feel free to use that as a resource. Also on Channel 14 and at the end of the show here on Channel 11, we're running slides that will tell you what's been closed, what's working, what's not working, those sorts of things. So hopefully that information is helpful, and you can either find that on Channel 11. After this program is finished, they'll put those slides up, or you can find that on Channel 14 or on shellpoint.net. So that's some information for you as well. Also, your resident court reps, I can't say enough about our wonderful court reps here at Shell Point. They are really doing a wonderful job on your behalf, and we just had a resident council meeting earlier this afternoon on Thursday at 3 o'clock where they got the most recent update, and they're going to be sharing that information with you throughout this evening and then tomorrow morning on Friday as well. Mostly what they'll be talking about is the pickup that's going to be scheduled for your court for picking up your kit and your chair. But they have other information as well, and so when you see your court rep, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them. Now, I don't want to start a big thing, but there is something that you can be doing just in preparation for stormy weather. Just think, we don't really think that the hurricane is going to impact Shell Point directly. So we're not going to be evacuating. We plan on staying in our homes this weekend. But we do anticipate that we're going to have severe tropical storm weather. And that means what it always does when we get those kinds of tropical storms. In fact, we had pretty bad weather just a couple of weeks ago. And what that is going to be high winds, we're going to get a lot of rain. And when we get those winds, it's really helpful if we have done some things around our homes to make sure that we won't cause a problem later on. And what you can be doing right now is if you've got wind chimes and some small patio furniture or a plant, things of that nature on your lanai or on your patio, please bring those inside when the weather starts to get a little inclement, because it really will help to not have to clean all that up later should it get wet or should it fall over. So bring any of those small items in off of your patio. If you want to bring your patio furniture in and it's a little too big or too heavy, but you're concerned, call 2190 and somebody may be able to come and assist you. Or if your patio furniture is nice and heavy, they may say you don't need to move this. But that small tchotchke stuff that you put, that Pelican or the things that you have out there that are just accessories, bring those on inside. Another thing is some folks have welcome mats at their front door. They have big wreaths on their front door. If you live, say, in a garden court apartment, or perhaps you live in an area where you feel like your front door is a little exposed, you might want to bring those items in too, just to keep them safe from the high winds. I wanted to give you a little bit of interesting information, just a little factoid that you might find interesting. Since we've been monitoring our websites, we have had over 3,200 visits to shellpoint.net in the last 24 hours. So every day for the last couple of days, we've had over 3,200 people visiting our site and checking out information. Now, that may be a few people going back more than once, but it's really exciting to see how many people are using shellpoint.net, and I'm glad that that information is there for you. I want to do a real special shout out to Mike Haber, who's in charge of our websites. Pardon me. Mike's doing a great job, and he's keeping those websites up to date, and I do want to thank him for that. And I just want to encourage you to use .net as much as possible, and don't forget that your family and friends can go to that site as well. Speaking of your family and friends, there are several ways for them to get information if they're worried about you. Don't forget to tell them about the resident informational hotline that we have activated. Now, the hotline has already been activated, and the phone number is 1-866-551-6013, and that's a toll-free number. So let me just give you that number one more time, 866-551-6013, and basically that's a number that anybody in the country can call, and they can get information about what's going on here at Shell Point. So please feel free to give that number out. It's also posted on shellpoint.net, so if you have a family member or a friend out of town wants to check, they can get the number there as well. Don't forget, contact your court reps if you have any questions about the hurricane. If you're having any special concerns about your health or some personal care needs you don't know exactly what to do about, please contact your case managers. If you are not sure who your case manager is for your building, ask your court rep and they'll be happy to tell you, or you can find that information online as well. And of course, the service desks are open and operating, and they're available to help you as well. So on Friday, if you have any questions, always think about your court rep, or you can call service desk. Of course, you can call 2190 and any of those other things like your case managers. I think that covers just about everything. We're going to go ahead and wrap up right now so that we can have some time for the slides to run so that you can get some more up-to-date information. And we will be back with you on Friday. We'll update the program Friday morning, but in between now and then, get those hurricane kits ready so that they can go out on the curb first thing Friday morning. Your court rep has more information for you about that. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you tomorrow, Friday, September the 8th.